Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Shino, bringing you a brand new series in a new world. I'm going to make this clear right now, and I'll announce it over and over again. This is a peaceful world. All the animals, all the creatures are set to not aggressive. Everything is set on easy mode. So this is not a legit world. What we're going to be doing in this world is we're going to be doing some Let's Builds. We're going to be doing some mod spotlights, and we're going to be doing some tutorials and demos. So I'm going to start this off. We're going to talk about something that I see a lot of people talk about and ask about, which is the Propick. How to use the Propick, how to read the information it's giving you, and how to take action on it so that you can increase your yield of ores and metals in the game of Vintage Story. We are in Vintage Story 1.15.2. I'm using that one. 1.15.5 is out. I have not upgraded to it yet because of the mods. So I want to keep the mods that I have, and one of them that I have, we're gonna do another video on it here shortly. That it revolves around the Propick as well. So let's get started. A couple things I want to talk about. One, this world is absolutely fantastic. If you want to know the seed, I'll post it in the description. But as you can see, there is a lot of great stuff right near spawn. So 165.490.4209 is the seed. And I just ran that on a client-side command using the / seed. So you can do that in your game as well. And we're going to be showing and using a couple of different commands during this series. Okay, so let's get started. One thing, veteran players, I know they're looking at their chops right now because they're seeing that is bauxite. Yep, you spawn in right inside a bauxite forest or a bauxite biome. Then you have a sand biome. There is a trader right here, and I have not even checked the trader yet to see what he is because that's not the purpose of this game right now. But you can see there are several ruins in the area as well to be exploited. This is absolutely fantastic. If I bring up the map, I'll just show you. I'll zoom out. You actually spawn, I think it was like right over here. There is a bee, at least when I spawned in, there was a beehive in the trees right over in this area. But yeah, you spawn in right in a bauxite, big, large areas. I jumped down one of the holes, found a halite dome. So this is fantastic. Anybody who wants a seed, wants to do it, go right ahead. All right, so let's get started. Propicks. In the game, when you first set up your game, there is an option for enabling the Propick and a node search. If you don't do node search, you'll only have it available in density search mode. And we're going to talk about density search mode here in just a minute. But right now, we're really focusing on the node search mode. So to get that activated, there is a command that you can use for doing that. I don't have it written down right now, but you can go to the Vintage Story Wiki under server-side commands, and I believe it has it listed there. So if you've done that in the beginning of the game set, you'll have two options when you hit the F key. If you did not do it in the beginning, you'd have to enable that command, exit out of the game, reload back into it for it to take effect. That's very important. If you don't do that, it will not take effect. But once you've done that, it will then be enabled every time you go back into the game. Okay? So on the density search mode, what it's doing is it's going to be checking within a chunk to see what is most likely to be showing up. And so to demonstrate chunk, I got the command here. So we're going to do a period sign or period debug space wireframe space chunk. And if you do it right, you'll see this little wireframe that will show up, and that's showing you what chunk boundaries currently are in the game and how far down they go. Okay, so as I move, you'll see it just moved over that way, moved over that way. So every time you move, it will show you the boundary for the chunk that you're in. Okay, that's very important for when you're using the Propick. The Propick, when you're using it, is going to check to see what is likely in that chunk. So if you're on a chunk boundary, when you're testing it, then you may get different results. See this one right here, this is on a chunk boundary right here. Okay, so if I were to check the density of the ores and I started in this chunk and finished in this chunk, the information it gives me is going to be for the ores in this chunk, not where you finished up at. Okay, so it's where you break your first one. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to, let's grab that one up there. And now it says I need 2 more samples. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to hit this one. And now it says I need 1 more sample. And let's see if I can find something without causing a catastrophe, bringing everything down on top of me. Here we go, right here. So there you go. And it's telling me that within that chunk, I have a decent chance for copper. Let me change the time here. I have a decent chance for copper. I have a very poor chance for bismuthine, very poor chance for cassiterite, a very poor chance for magnetite, and then minuscule amounts of cinnabar and gold are found in there. So if you look at my map, you'll see this little box that showed up. It's showing that I've tested that chunk. This is one of the other mods we're going to be talking about here shortly. It's VS Prospecting Info. And basically when you get done testing an area, it then stores that information on your map so that you can go back and look at it and you can check it later. This comes in really handy. It does kind of get a little, if you're looking for things that you don't have marked on the map, it can be a hindrance. Say for example, if you're trying to remember where some blue clay was at and this is over it, it may be a hindrance to you, but the information this provides, I think, is a lot more valuable. Okay, so that's how you use the Propick in the density search. Now, does that mean that if I were to dig in this chunk that I would find magnetite? No, it does not. More than likely you will, but what it's telling you is that when this chunk was created, all the conditions were right for magnetite to be in that chunk. That means the right stones were there, the right construction of the chunk. Everything lends itself to have a 0.2% chance for having magnetite. The 12.2% chance of copper, then yeah, more than likely you go down in this chunk, you will find copper in this chunk. So that's how you read that. So when you're looking for a particular metal and you're using the density check or the density search mode, you're going to want to find a chunk that has very high amount of whatever mineral it is you're looking for. So if you're looking for magnetite, then you're going to want to search in an area where you get really high numbers for magnetite. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, let me close this map out. So what I've done over here is I've created a little grid. We're going to be talking about going into node search mode. So let's say you found the chunk that you want to check in, and you've decided that it's time to start mining down in there. So you change your Propick over by hitting the F key and clicking on node search mode. This is short range and it's exact search. So where in density, it's showing you what the probabilities of having an ore in that chunk is. The node search mode is telling you exactly what mineral and what ores you have in the search range. Now, I believe the default when you turn on the node search mode is 4 blocks, meaning whatever block you break, it will check 4 blocks up, down, left, right, forward, and reverse from that block that you broke, and will tell you how many of what percentage of those ore blocks represented in that search. So it's going to take like a check. So if I've set this up, this is all a mock-up demonstrating how this is going to work. So if I were to break this block right here, and I've got it set at 8. If I had it set at 4, it would go 1, 2, 3, 4 out, and then it would go 4 that direction, 4 that direction, 4 up, and 4 down, and it would check around in that 4 by 4 by 4 area, or I guess it would be 8 or 9 by 9 area, and determine how much of those blocks in that area represent ore. Make sense? Hope so. So if it checks and finds 3 blocks of ore in that area, it'll return a value. So let's just break this and demonstrate. So I am now in node search mode, and I'm going to break this block. And you can see that it found verified medium amounts of native copper. So that means that of all the blocks that were within the range of this testing, which is 9 by 9 or 8 by 8 by 8 by 8, the way I have it set up, it checked this whole boundary box. So this one right here actually is the center for this entire boundary box. So if I break this one, you'll see that it checked all the way down to the bottom of those bales, across to those bales, up to the top, and all the way around. Everything inside here. So it said with that medium amounts, it's saying, hey, you got nothing in this area and all these chunks. You got a little bit here and a little bit over there. So that's what it was able to find. Okay? So now, since it's checking 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to this wall, and this wall coming this way, when it checked, it did not find any of this ore that's out here. It didn't see it because it's outside that radius of where it's looking. So it's only found what is inside this framework. So when you're moving around in the world and you're testing different areas, you're going to get a different value depending on how much ore is found in there. So I'm going to demonstrate this. This block, I'm going to test it, and remember it's going to go 8, 8, 8, and 8. And since 8 from this point is going to take it to here and across that way and back in, I'm expecting, the expected result is when I do this, it's going to return no ores found. So let's see. No ore node nearby. So you see, because it's outside that boundary area, it's not seeing it. Now, I'm close to it. You know, I could see it from here, but it can't see it because of the 8 distance. Okay. Now, one thing I've heard people talk about is, hey, isn't there a situation where if you have rich iron in an area instead of, say, poor iron, that it will return a higher amount found? And the answer is no. We're going to demonstrate. So there is rich iron placed in this area. I'm going to put down one of my blocks of bauxite, and I'm going to test it, and it should say trace amounts. Verified trace amount. Okay. Now I'm going to change that over and put the poor one in there. So still one block, and it should still come back and say trace amount, because it's not looking to see at the quality of the ore. It's only looking to see the quantity of the ore. And in this situation, whether it was rich or poor, there was still only one block in the 8 by 8 area. Okay, so how do we use this information to help us out when we're mining in the vintage story world? So a lot of people will say, you know, dig a shaft straight down and then do some branch mining and move around. And I think that's a great idea. Typically, I will run around through a cave, and I'll use node search every so often and see if it finds something for me. So we're going to simulate that this is just a cave area here, and I'm just testing against this wall as I'm running through, and it pops up and says, hey, there's no ore node nearby. Now, since I've got this set at 8, I know that running a certain distance would set a whole new range to check at. So let's say I ran into the 8 distance and I come to this one and I hit it, and it comes back and says, hey, you got medium amounts of copper here. Okay, so I know that since I came from that direction over there and it said there was none, and this one says there's medium, then that tells me that there's no ore between these 2 points. So if I'm going to be looking for my ore, I'm going to be looking this direction out in front of me this way. And it said there's medium amounts. So let's say I ran off and I started mining across this direction, and I hit this, and now it says, hey, there's trace amounts. Well, that tells me now that I'm getting farther away from where the ore is. I'm moving away from it. So I'm going to go back to where I was, and now I can know pretty easily that not only is there no ore in this area, and that's up, down, left, and right, but there's little amount going this direction. So that tells me that my ore that I'm looking for is going to be in this direction, either up or down from my current location. So let's say I come across this way and I hit this one, and it says, hey, you still got medium amount. So I had medium here, and I had medium here. Now, since the distance between them would be moving farther away, I can now go about halfway distance back and say the ore is not in this half. That tells me now that the ore is more than likely going to be in this half right over here, and either up or down. So now I'm going to search until I find where it says very large or large. And there we go, verified very large amounts of native copper. So when I got to this point, very large, medium was there, medium was there, that tells me that I'm on the right path. I'm looking right in this area for that ore. Okay, so now I'm going to start mining and bisecting this in half into the halfway distance between the medium point and the very large point. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to clear this out. Usually I would clear an area out until I got to this point. If I didn't find it, then I'm going to go up 4, dig up 4, dig left 4, and dig that way 4, and I should find it. If I don't, then that tells me for sure that the ore is straight down below me. Alright, so that's how you use the Propick to triangulate where your ore is in the world. So again, as you're moving through, when you find no ore nodes, you don't need to check that area. When you start finding trace and medium amounts, you want to start cutting and bisecting it in half until you find that very large or humongous, which is huge, or I think that was the biggest one, is huge. But once you find that, you know you're pretty much right on top of that ore. So move halfway between your 2 points, dig straight down, or dig over and go up, down, around, forward 4 spots, and you should find that ore. Hopefully this has been helpful. I know there's always been a lot of questions. When I first started off, there was not a lot of information about how to use the Propick, and I spent a lot of times kind of messing around with it in a creative world just like this, kind of seeing how the Propick and responded with the ores around me. And I suggest doing this also. You know, a lot of times people get into the game and they think, I can't go into creative mode, that's cheating. But if you want to get better at the game, if you want to understand how the game works, you're going to have to create these little test worlds. And these test worlds can go a long way in helping you understand how the game works and how you can exploit some of the things that you find out about the game. So hopefully this has been helpful. If it has been, please put a comment down below and say, hey, thank you. Been waiting a long time for someone to explain the Propick in a way that can be understood. Hopefully this is understood. I think this is one of the best ways for me when I first started trying to figure out how to visualize it. So if it's helped you, then how about give me a thumbs up? If you want more content like this, please subscribe to my channel. I have a Season 1 Let's Play that I'm doing right now. I've got this one that I'm going to start that I'm just now starting. This is the first episode of it. We're going to be coming back here in just a minute to kind of talk about some of the mods that I use, and I'm going to be doing some mod spotlights. So hope this has been helpful. If it has, like I said, give me that thumbs up, give me a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button so you get notified every time more content's uploaded. Thanks everyone, I appreciate it, and we'll see you in the game.